Hi, today we're going to be looking at strings and working with strings. The first thing I want to say is tell you about strings. And strings is an object in Swift. It's a class, and you'll understand what objects and classes in a bit later in this course. But essentially, what that means is we could do some really cool stuff with strings. So let me show you. First, let me go ahead and create a string. I'm going to call it my string. And as we've discussed before, I could do this, and Swift will implicitly know that this is a string. Sorry. Option click, it'll show you string. Or I could call the class initializer, and I'm going to say my string2 equal string parentheses. It's the same thing as far as Xcode and Playground is concerned, as you could tell. Okay, so we've got two strings here. I'm gonna go ahead and delete the second one here, and let's go ahead and add something to it. So my string equals this is Swift 4, isn't it great? Okay, great. So I've got a string here. I'm gonna make this a tad bit bigger so you could see. I've got a little string here that says this is Swift, isn't it great? Okay, that's not particularly special, but because strings are an object, it's a class within Swift, what we could do is we could actually call up the methods inside of it, and those methods or functions actually do a bunch of cool stuff. So I'm going to talk about a few of them, okay? So the first thing I want to show you is the dot count method, okay? So if I go my string dot count, this will Swift will go ahead and count how many characters there are inside the string, and spaces are counted as characters. By the way, if you want to call up a method of a class, you use dot notation. So dot notation is the name that we give to this little dot right here. Essentially, you call up the string and use dot notation to come up with all the methods inside. Let's go ahead and use another method that's built into strings, and it's dot is empty. So this returns a Boolean value. So my string dot, and as soon as I put the dot, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of methods here that are built in. I'm obviously not going to go through all of them, but is empty is a cool one, and this should return false, because obviously it's not empty. But if I created another one, right? If I created another string and I said my string 2 dot is empty, it should return true because obviously it is empty. Just give it a second. True. Boom. Okay, I'm gonna show you a few more. The dot contain is a powerful one, so I'm gonna call up my string dot contain, and dot contains rather, not contain, and I'm gonna choose the first one here, element character, right? So here it's saying, okay, tell us what character you want us to search for. So I'm gonna go ahead and search for let's see here, a character that doesn't exist, X, and it should return false because X does not exist. But if I put S, it exists because S is right here. Now keep in mind, this S and this S are different. An uppercase S is different than a lowercase s. So I'll give you an example here. If I put lowercase g, that works. If I put an uppercase G, it'll say false. This is probably a good time to say this. Swift is based on Unicode, so every character actually has a unique Unicode to it. So a lowercase g and an uppercase G actually have a different underlying Unicode. Great, so that's dot contains. I'll show you maybe two more that I think are useful and you might use a lot. So my string dot append is a great one, and this will essentially append to the end of the array. So sorry, the end of the string. So if I put an uppercase X, you'll see that the string says this is Swift 4, isn't it great, question mark X, because I appended it at the end. So append adds to the end of the string. And there's dot split, which I think is pretty cool, which you might use. So my string dot split, and I'm going to choose the first one again, separator character, and it says, what character do you want us to split at? And since there's a comma here, I'm going to use the comma because that's a pretty natural split, not the dot, the comma. And you'll see here that it actually created an array. And if you don't understand what that is, that's a collection, and you'll understand later in the course. But essentially, now there's two strings. The first string is this is with 4, and the second string isn't great, question mark X. Okay, one last thing that I want to show you is something called string interpolation, or escaping the quotes. So watch this. If I were to print a statement and it's a string, so my fave number is, and this is string, I'll obviously print that in the console right here. However, I'm gonna go ahead and create a new variable here, var my number equals 5. And if I wanted to insert 5 here, but I don't want to actually insert the 5 like this, I want to insert the variable, because you know this variable could have anything else. It could be a number, it could be a string, it could be anything else. What do? There's something called escaping the quotes, and this might not be intuitive, but you'll get used to it. What you want to do is you want to go backward slash, open parentheses, put the name of the variable, in this case my number, close parentheses. And as you'll tell that it changed color, it's no longer red. Everything that's red is a string. This is not red. So you'll see my favorite number is 5. And this doesn't have to be at the end of the string. I could do this because it's the coolest. And you'll see that in the middle, where it says backward slash my number in parentheses, actually it replaced that with the number 5. Of course, this could have any value and it'll work, right? In fact, this doesn't even have to be a number. It could be another string. This is another string. And because I put my number here, says my favorite number is, this is another string, because it's the coolest. So you could put sort of any variable here, and it'll take place. So this is called escaping the quotes, or string interpolation. All right, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching.